So, episode 21. Woo.
We're legal to drink now.
Legal to drink in America. In Canada, we started drinking a while ago.
That's true.
Yeah, so no Dan today, I guess.
No Dan. Oh, by the way, welcome to the Backspace podcast.
Oh yeah, that's the thing we do, right?
I am freaked out. Joining me today is Robot Rogue.
Yay.
Hooray, we're both here. Yeah, no Dan today. He's still got some family obligations, so that's why we missed last week's episode, what with Mother's Day and stuff like that. So
Mother's Day, and Dan was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
He couldn't podcast because he was too busy at a luau.
Too busy getting his tan on his buns.
Although from what I hear, the luau's in Hawaii are very expensive. Like, you're looking at $150, $180, so you kind of gotta, it's a thing you can't really miss if you've committed to it.
Yeah, there's probably cheap luau's out there, but they're not for the howlies.
Yeah, not only that, but I'm sure the cheap luau's contain copious amounts of spam-based foods. Hawaii, one of the world's largest consumers of spam.
Yep.
Woo!
And not the email kind.
Yeah.
All right, so what have you been up to, Nelson?
Oh, I had some severe dental issues, and that put me out of commission for quite a while, actually. Oh. I'm actually kind of glad we didn't record last week, because I was just in miserable pain.
Yeah,
That has since been sorted out, and now my mouth is just still kind of tender.
Welcome to the Backspace podcast.
Yeah, basically. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, just I actually picked up quite a few games lately.
Do tell.
Which I haven't played yet, but
Oh.
What'd
you buy?
Let's see. I bought Kentucky Route Zero. It was on sale for not that big of a discount, but you know what? That one was on my wish list for quite a while, so I figured, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna pull the trigger.
Sure, I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. I can't remember if I talked about purchasing Jazzpunk last week on the last podcast or not.
I think you did mention it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I snagged Jazzpunk, still haven't played that yet. Foul Play, I know for a fact I talked about that one last podcast, but yeah, I've only recorded one video of that so far. I still have to do another 4, or maybe more, depends on how long each levels are.
Right.
What else? My Steam's sort of half broken right now, where I can't really see all the things, all the icons, so nothing's really jumping out. But
right. I see here you uploaded a Spelunky screenshot that had a $350,000 score in it.
That was my personal best.
Where you died of old age.
Yeah. I'm getting pretty good at beating Olmec again.
Nice.
I think I've won the game on Olmec mode 6 times now.
Right. Yeah, I've never beaten Olmec. That's something I gotta look at doing.
It's a while. It's funny considering how much you play like Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, and that game's just a real challenge. You figure you would dive into the old Spelunky challenge as well, but whatever. Spelunky's one of those games you have to play it very frequently, otherwise you lose the muscle memory and just suck at it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I look at it and I think about firing it up, and then I realize it's been like a week or a week and a half since I played it last time. And just getting your legs back in that game is always so damaging to your psyche. It's like... Well,
yeah, that was my problem. Like, I took 2 weeks off of Spelunky, and I jumped back into it. I'm like, wow, I really suck.
Yeah, it's like, I used to be good at this game.
Within a few days of just playing it for a few hours each day, I beat Olmec again, so...
Yeah.
And I actually uploaded a video of that, but I haven't made it public yet, because I kind of want to edit it down, actually.
Right.
But on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/robotrogue, I did highlight that run.
Cool.
But no commentary, because when I was recording it, my mouth still was kind of hurty. So
right.
Not going to bore people to death with me going. So I just picked up the jetpack because I killed the shopkeeper. That's one thing I find about that game. If there's a jetpack in 1-2, that shopkeeper's a dead man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then at that point, it's just a matter of staying alive long enough to get to Olmec. What's weird about that run is I ended up getting the Ankh, and I was I stayed alive long enough, or didn't lose the Ankh soon, and I was standing on the moa I had. I'm like, no, because I think at that point I had a lot of hit points, and I'm like, I just want to beat Olmec. That's fine.
Right. So what's your preferred method of shopkeeper murder?
I don't know whose method it is. It's the one where you toss the rope up at the front door to the shop.
Yeah.
You grab an item, you walk up, climb the rope, and then climb back down, drop the item, and then drop a bomb just close enough to kill the shopkeeper, but not aggro him.
Is that, I think that's Bear Strat? Was that Bear Strat?
I don't know. I've seen, I watch Bear Taffy, I watch,
Bisnap,
and,
or, Bananasaurus.
Oh, sorry, Bananasaurus Rex,
yeah.
Yummy Yummy Ding Dong, and Will Smith, and I'll refer to this as the Will Smith method because, that's where I first saw it.
Right.
And all the other guys, they have the jump in, drop bomb, jump in, whip, bounce on his head, whip, grab shotgun, shoot shopkeeper, all in a second flat, which I don't have the
I know.
The dexterity or hand-eye coordination to pull that off without getting blown to pieces. So
yeah, Northern Lion usually takes on the shopkeepers that way too, and it's just I don't know how they do it. It's just crazy.
I've seen there's a few tutorial videos out there on how to do it, but again, that's one of those things where you got to practice, and I don't really like to do practice runs with Spelunky. I like to just dive into it and try and get as far as possible, right? But yeah, that's what I've been playing. More videos for my YouTube channel on the way. It's just a matter of finding time to sit down and record them. But now that my mouth is feeling better, woo! So yeah, how about you? Cool. What have you been playing around with?
I'm getting further into Dark Souls 2. I've got all 4 of the Great Souls, and I'm getting into the end game. Let's put it that way. I'm just about to get into sort of the dragon part at the end of the game, and I'm bogging down in that game. I think my build might not be all that good for where I'm at in the game. So
it's crazy. I was watching I think it was Bananasaurus Rex do some invasions.
Right.
In Dark Souls 2, and he had this weird setup where he had these 2 giant shields that you could clamp together and just splatter someone with it.
Yeah, I've got one of those. I haven't found the second one yet, but yeah, those guys were kind of a shock to me, because I got to the point where the guys who dropped those start appearing, and I walk up to what I thought was a door and try to open it, and it's not a door. It's the dude with 2 shields together, and you waited until I got close enough, and then
splart.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shock sometimes when the game sort of unleashes stuff like that on you. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still enjoying the game. It's still a lot of fun. I've had some weird PvP experiences in that game too.
You mean invasions? Or
I was under the impression that you couldn't get invaded unless you were human. But I've been invaded a couple times. I don't know if this is hackers. I've been invaded a couple times while I was hollow, and this one guy, he invaded me. It was at a point in the game, in this place called the Shrine of Amana, it's just this awful place where the whole thing is basically waist deep water, and they've got a small path. You stray off this path, and basically you fall into deep water and die. So you've got this small path that you can't really see because it's all underwater. And they've got a bunch of jerks throwing homing magic missiles at you from across the damn map. So I was just banging my head against the wall in this part. There's this one bonfire. You get 2 bonfires of the parts where you can kind of rest and recover your hit points, but you respawn everything in the level, right? I get to this one bonfire, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll rest at this bonfire. Around this bonfire, there are these creatures that put out this cloud that breaks all your equipment. Like it's a corrosive cloud. So I'm like, screw it. I'm going to stay at this bonfire. I'm going to murder these guys until they stop respawning, because that's one of the things about Dark Souls 2 is you can kill things until they stop respawning. So I go through all the effort of going to this bonfire, killing all these corrosive cloud guys over and over again until they stop respawning. Get out of this area, and then what do you know? More waist-high water with magic spamming assholes. And
why do you play this game?
Because I want to beat it.
At that point, you just you beat it out of stubborn dedication.
Yeah, and then some guy invades me, and it's not an NPC phantom. I know for a fact it's not an NPC phantom. The guy's name was Quark, I think. This guy invades me while I'm hollow. Just after I've finished dealing with all these guys, I have no spells left. I have no healing items left. My health is down pretty low. So I'm squaring up with him. I'm like, okay, come on. He basically runs up to me. He's in a robe. He has a single dagger. He runs up to me and he basically stun locks me with this knife. Even though I was blocking, he stun locks me with this knife. And at the same time, I start getting poison damage. And he just basically runs up to me. He's like, stab, 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 die. And I was like, okay, well, that was fun.
Now, did he use the waggy finger? Oh, no, you didn't emote?
Yes, he did.
And
that was how I knew it wasn't an NPC phantom at the end, because he started doing emotes to me after he beat me. And I'm like, you're clearly hacking. A, you stabbed through my shield without, and like staggered me through a shield with a dagger, and that's not supposed to happen. And B, the poison buildup he got on me was just ridiculous. So this guy was, I don't know.
A lot of dots.
He's either using mechanics that I'm not aware of in the game, or he was hacking, one or the other. So
yeah, I'm not sure, but oh well. As long as that doesn't happen too many times when you're playing, otherwise I would just flip the table over and fuck this game.
Honestly, when that happened, I just logged off. I'm like, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah, at that point,
to take a break.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine just the rage and frustration that would build up as a result of that, and it's like, no, done. I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, aside from that, what else have I been playing? I picked up a PS3 game called Dragon's Dogma.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of game. It's kind of an open world role-playing type of thing where you basically create a party and go out and fight big monsters. Haven't played much of that one yet, but what I've played so far I've liked. So,
do you get really large swords?
I think so.
Oh.
I haven't yet.
I like games where you get like really ridiculous large swords.
You'd like my ultra great sword in Dark Souls then.
Nice.
Bigger than I am. But yeah, I've played a little bit of that one. I've actually watched somebody playing it a bit too, so it seems like a pretty cool game. Aside from that, the usual FTL, some Binding of Isaac. We have another Isaac recording that's going up pretty soon here. So, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I had a bit of a snafu when I recorded one of my Isaac videos. I accidentally recorded it with a muted mic, so I had the whole run, but no commentary to go over it. So,
you're still getting used to the whole recording.
Yeah,
gameplay.
Yeah, I'm still kind of in my baby steps phase with the recording thing. So
pretty brand new to you.
Yeah. So Nelson was good enough to actually sit down with me and help me record some post commentary.
And that was actually surprising fun.
Yeah. So we ran through that and kind of used it as a teaching experience.
More for me than anything.
Yeah, it was good. We had some fun. So that'll be up on the site probably next week?
Most likely by Tuesday.
This week when the podcast comes out, I guess.
Yeah, it won't take me long to edit, render, blah blah blah. I'll upload it at the office.
Yeah, and no, you won't.
I'll do it from home. That's right.
Why would you do that? That would be a severe misappropriation of company resources and heavily frowned upon. But yeah, we got that, and probably going to try and do another video in the FTL series sometime this week too. And I started playing a little bit of my Game Club game.
Yeah.
It's my Random Acts of Gaming game. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to Game Club when we get to it.
Yeah, exactly. When we can get all three of us here at some point.
God damn it, Dan.
Yeah, Dan. If you're listening to this, and you probably aren't because you don't listen to the podcast, but anyway. But if you are, I'm shaking my fist at you right now.
Rabble.
Yeah, anyways, I installed and played a little bit of Bioshock 2.
Nice.
Yeah. I like that game. I like that game a lot. It was kind of, I was just looking through a little bit of the history. It was,
Isn't that the most hated of the Bioshock games, though?
Not really. And I looked at the reviews, and it got solid 8.5s and 9s across the board. Huh. It was well received, but I don't think it was. See, the thing is, it's not a revolutionary game by any stretch. It basically just does the things well that the first Bioshock did, and that's pretty much it. And adds on a multiplayer component, which I haven't actually tried yet. But atmosphere-wise, it's if you like Bioshock, you'll like Bioshock 2. It throws some interesting kind of curveballs as far as the story goes. You're actually playing as a Big Daddy, one of the kind of enemies from the first game.
Now I remember. Yeah. The big stompy suit.
Yeah, you're a Big Daddy who's basically lost his little sister. So the game starts off and she gets taken away from you, and the person who basically made the big daddies basically commands you to kill yourself. So you do, and then and then that's the opening cinema, and 10 years later you get brought back to life in a Vita chamber, and somebody's basically trying to get you to go and find your little sister again. And it takes place after the original Bioshock, actually. It takes place in 1968, I want to say, which puts it a few years after the original Bioshock.
In a completely hypothetical parallel universe, obviously.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But you're in the Big Daddy suit, so it gives you a little freedom to actually move around outside of Rapture. Like, you can go underwater.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got the big diving suit. And the underwater sections basically function as a connector between levels. Like, there's no... At least not yet. There hasn't been any enemies or anything like that. It's basically just kind of like like a carnival ride in between, kind of like a haunted house or something like that. You're just basically walking from one point to another, taking in the sights.
Just a nice environmental break.
Yeah, and then you go through an airlock, and oh yeah, now you got to shoot people again. So
mutated, angry people, obviously.
Yeah. So it's fun. You get a big drill. The Big Daddies, one of their famous weapons was the big drill on the hand, and you can use that to mess people up.
Do you also get plasmids?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got the same kind of left-hand, right-hand thing going on.
Mm. So you also get a whole array of different guns and shit too, right?
Yeah, I haven't gotten too deep into that so far. I've just got the rivet gun so far, but it's kind of cool.
The rivet gun gets actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, from what I've heard, yeah. So... and you can retrieve your rivets out of the corpses of the people that you kill.
Sure can. I think that's one of the reasons it's powerful is because, you can theoretically stay up on ammo for a good portion of the game.
Yeah. It does some interesting things, too. Like, it actually, the subtitling options are kind of neat because, the art that's kind of scattered around Rapture, the advertisements and stuff like that, it actually subtitles a lot of those. Like, when you put your crosshairs over them, it actually puts a little subtitle in that tells you what the ad is about.
Oh, nice.
There's little links on everything. If you want to know more about, anything you're looking at, you just hit the M key on your keyboard and it'll give you a little explanation of what it is you're looking at. Yeah, it's a really well crafted game. It's there's a lot of attention to detail and stuff like that. It doesn't do anything particularly innovative. And from what I've heard, the first 2/3 of the game are kind of meh, but then story wise, the last act apparently is apparently quite something. So I'm looking forward to that.
So basically, you have to earn your entertainment.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been enjoying my time with it so far. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's really all that well optimized for Windows 8 because in the 2 hours I was playing it, it crashed 3 times to desktop.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've been looking around on wikis and stuff like that trying to figure out what the issue is, but yeah, it's not very stable, unfortunately.
Huh. That's a shame.
Yeah, it seems to be a sound issue or something because it seems to happen right when like a new sound is about to be played. Like, I'll get to a point, like I'll reload the game and I'll get back to a point and like some sound will happen right at the point where it crashed the last time. So it seems to be something sound related. So I'm going to try and track that down. But yeah, so far so good with that one.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny because I'm pretty sure I own that one too. And I've never played it.
Yeah, odds are you picked it up in a bundle somewhere or something.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no, I have Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite. I don't have Bioshock 2.
So you don't have Bioshock 2?
No.
Yeah. I've heard the DLC for it is really good, too. The Minerva's Den. Apparently that changes things up pretty severely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Talk about news?
Sure. You got some stories?
A few. Not much.
Mm-hmm.
So
kind of a slow news week, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, a little bit. So in the in one of our previous podcasts, we talked about all about the esports / Dota championships or Dota 2 championships, and there was that short documentary that did Steam produce it? I can't remember.
Yep.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, right. Free to play. That talked about Dendy and all those Dota guys. And how the prize pool at that point was $1 million, which kind of, or maybe I think it was 1.6, 1.7, but that's spread out over the teams. And at that point, that was like a revolutionary amount of money for esports. Like that, still in retrospect, that's fucking crazy money.
Yeah.
Even if you split it out between your team, you're looking at 200,000 at least a person.
Sure. I'm sure the team infrastructure takes a chunk of that too. All the stuff that coaches and housing and training, whatever.
But I mean, it's almost, in retrospect, it's almost viable nowadays. Where if you're really fucking good at the game, you can buy yourself a house in like 2 years, basically. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not up here, but definitely in the States. But yeah, so the current, the international, as it's known, the Dota 2 championships, the prize pool has surged up to $5.7 million.
That's a lot of cake.
Yeah. And it may actually, that's the current, amount. It may actually, reach over 6 million. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of money for being good at a video game.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, there are more people watching streaming video games these days than there are watching streaming sports.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. Twitch does more bandwidth than all of the major sports streaming providers on the internet put together.
That's massive. Yeah. Esports are becoming the new sports.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. That's a good chunk of cash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll rise to the level that the community will support, right? I mean, as long as there's money for this kind of thing, the prize pools will keep growing.
Yeah. And with Twitch, I mean, a lot of people have no problem paying for subscriptions for it's $5 a month prescription for your favorite channels, and some people can subscribe to as many as like 5, 10, 15 channels. That's a lot of scratch per month.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's Valve has definitely shown a desire to be on the leading edge of this whole kind of esports thing going forward, with what they've done with with Dota and all that kind of stuff, and their continued efforts to kind of popularize the esports kind of thing. So we'll see where it goes. And
here I thought esports were going to die. How wrong I was.
Doesn't look that way.
So apparently there's going to be a new Xbox 360 Special Edition controller coming out called Arctic Camouflage.
Right, for those times when you're playing your Xbox 360 in Arctic conditions and you don't want anybody to see you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sure.
Cool. But it's the wireless controller is quote unquote inspired by snow-covered environments, whatever the fuck that means.
I got a digital camo PS3 controller.
Oh, there you go.
Came with Killzone, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like your standard flavor Xbox 360 controller, but wireless, 30-foot range. But the one thing I've noticed is it has the chrome-covered D-pad. Mm-hmm. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that particular D-pad is one of the better ones. Oh, sorry. It has the transforming D-pad. So yes, that is absolutely 100% correct. That particular D-pad is the more preferable D-pad out there. Because the standard Xbox 360 controller, the D-pad was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But the transforming one, it has much better feel and much better control. So, it's $55, but it is wireless. You can put in a wired battery pack if you want.
Right.
It doesn't look ugly. It's camo. I'm not a huge camo fan, but at the same time, it's probably one of my favorite controllers to game with. So,
cool.
I don't know. I might entertain the idea of picking it up, because as far as Spelunky plays go, having a good D-pad instead of the analog stick
that's pretty key.
Yeah, and actually for a lot of games, if I'm able to actually have a good D-pad but also have a good controller in general with really nice analog controls, it's a bit of an investment, but at the same time, might be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I can have my original Xbox controller as my backup. So, or if I ever have someone over to come play games, I can, because it's the wireless, has the wireless dongle, I can hook up a multi controllers, nice little 2 or 4 player at home Spelunky session. So
right,
yeah,
cool.
And, Mario Kart 8 is now being harkened as the best Mario Kart ever so far.
It's I believe it's pronounced Mario.
Mario.
Sorry.
Yeah, but apparently the track designs for it are just mind blowing by comparison to all the previous Mario Kart games. Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS was actually really, really fun, but just looking at the screenshots of Mario Kart 8, man, I still won't buy a Wii U, but if I did own a Wii U, I would be all over this game. And graphically, it looks a lot better than anything else I've seen from the previous ones. So,
right.
And
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say I don't have a whole lot of attachment to either the Mario Kart or Mario franchise or kart racers in general, but this one's getting a lot of good word.
It's strange because I'm not really a racing game kind of guy, but they added some new items, some new vehicles, and apparently there's a way where you can combat the dreaded blue shell now. Which
really,
yeah, I mean that'd be handy to have, especially if you're just absolutely dominating a race and someone pops the blue shell and you're like, oh no,
yeah.
Also known as the blue dick shell.
Yep.
But yeah, it's good news for Nintendo if they keep putting out some really good games. They will hopefully do well this year. Fingers crossed, but you never know. It's Nintendo. They'll probably always be around.
Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere. Big news this week, I guess, was that Xbox Live decided to remove the gold requirement for Netflix and Hulu.
Oh?
Yeah. So now you can watch Netflix on your Xbox without having to sign up for gold.
I never understood why they made...
Yeah.
Well, for Hulu maybe, but for Netflix, I mean, you're already paying $8 or $9 a month for Netflix anyway, and then having to pay on top of that to have access to be able to actually utilize it, that was bullshit.
Right. Well, from what I understand, Microsoft's position has always been, if you're paying for anything on Xbox, you're going to be paying us too. Like, that's the big reason why MMOs have never really taken off on that platform. But that's been the big sort of stumbling block in this kind of thing. Personally, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I know when I originally got my Netflix membership, I tried to open it up on my Xbox and it was like, you need a gold account for this, and I was like, okay, screw it, I'm gonna put it on my PS3. And
PS3, PC, Wii, even on tablets, like every fucking device you own can play it for just the base installation of the app.
Yeah, and it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, it seems like you'd want to get people using an application like Netflix.
Console?
Yeah, an application like Netflix that has so much penetration. I mean, there's everybody has a Netflix account practically, and you'd want to get people in your kind of ecosystem in terms of delivering content, even if they're not going to be actually taking advantage of your services. You want them to be using your device to do it, because they might see something when they're on their way in. Oh, there's a new game that just released on Xbox Live or something like that. Exactly. I never saw any of that because, I mean, my Xbox doesn't get turned on unless I'm playing Red Dead Redemption these days. So, but yeah, I kind of wonder whether this is too little too late, though. I mean, if people are using a gaming device for Netflix, I think at this point they're using a PlayStation.
Yeah, well, not only that, but the Xbox One, they're kind of marketing it heavily as as almost a HTPC, practically HTPC / console. Yeah, and by making Netflix a gold member only option, that was just dumb. I can't believe it took them this long to do that too.
Yeah.
Like, really? Come on.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess with any organization the size of Microsoft, I mean, your agility is not going to be that great. So
no, and not only that, but they're like, let's see how long we can get away with this. Yeah, okay, people are finally annoyed. That's fine. We'll reverse it.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like, I don't know, with Microsoft lately, it seems like they're more reactive than proactive, whereas Sony is more proactive than reactive.
Yeah, but it swings back and forth. Like when the original Xbox first came out, Microsoft was much more reactive to stuff like that than Sony was. And then when the 360 became kind of the dominant console platform, it seemed like they kind of went the way that Sony was before. We don't have to make changes for you people because you're going to buy our system anyways, right?
Yeah, I'd actually heard something pretty much the same, where PS2 was what the Xbox One is now. Like, PS2 was the system that everybody had issues with, and, the Xbox 360 was the darling, and then now it's completely done an about face. Like, the PS2 didn't sell very well compared to the Xbox 360.
It was more the PS3 with the 360.
Or maybe it was the PS3, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was definitely the PS3. Like, the PS3 was one of those situations where Sony was pretty much saying, you're going to do things our way, and you're going to like it, kind of thing.
But the original Sony.
Yeah, the original Xbox was a lot more sort of open, and that was kind of to their detriment because those things ended up getting modded and hacked to shit.
Yeah.
360, it came out and it was a lot more locked down, and I think their corporate attitude was a lot more along the lines of, we have to exert some control over this sphere now, right? So, but yeah, it kind of swings both ways. I mean, Microsoft and Sony are two gigantic corporations, so
Well, remember, Sony was in a bit of trouble for a while. Mm-hmm. But it looks like they've, I don't know, with the PS4 and all their good decisions, they've turned it around.
Yeah. Well, they shut down their PC division.
Yeah.
They're not
Which is totally fine because their computers were terrible.
Yeah. But I think in terms of their home electronics and the actual content stuff they do, like Sony Pictures and stuff like that, I think they've been making money hand over fist with those for the last little while. Yeah. And the gaming division is, even in the dark days of the PS3 when, things were not looking that great for them, they were still making money. So,
but since you were talking about Xbox, I also heard that they finally unbundled the Kinect.
Yep.
The Kinect is now no longer a required peripheral. You can buy your Xbox One, sorry, I was going to say 360. Your Xbox One for the exact same price as a PS4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was the thing that was really holding them back. I mean, you look at the Xbox One and why it hasn't been adopted, and first off, it's like there's not really much to play on it, for starters. The second is the necessity of the Kinect adding $100 to the price point, and people go, well, I can have a PS4 for $100 less. Why wouldn't I just do that?
And the PS4 and the PS4 camera still cost entry $460. Mm-hmm. Whereas $500 for an Xbox One, so they're charging $100 for a glorified webcam.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
That's fucked.
I mean, there's more to the Kinect than a webcam.
Oh yeah, there is.
To be perfectly honest, there's a lot more under the hood with that thing. But
when I was watching the Kinect Sports thing, what's that new Kinect game, sportsy game with David Tennant doing the voice?
Oh yeah.
Sports Heroes or
Sports
something?
Rivals or something.
That's the one. Yeah, Kinect Sports Rivals.
Kinect Sports Rivals. Yeah.
The character creation part of it showed how very granular and kind of precise the Kinect has become. I mean, a lot of it is software based, but
sure.
A lot of that, is required to make that Kinect actually function correctly now.
Yeah.
But so I'm figuring the R&D involved to make that all happen was probably wrapped into the cost a little bit, but still $100, man. That's
all the Expo and Kinect stuff that I've seen. It still doesn't live up to the promise. It still doesn't quite get to the point where they were promising us, even when they were doing the Kinect for the Xbox 360. It's still janky. There's still some weirdness involved in using it to control your system. But
and Kinect games are inherently pretty terrible by and large.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I haven't seen a single one of them so far that would make me actually think of using it. So.
Huh. Oh wow! I just saw Twitter screenshot of someone who had the convertible D-pad Xbox 360 controller and the D-pad exploded off.
Oh.
This is on one of the older controllers, though, so hopefully they...
Sounds like something you wouldn't want it to do.
No. Oops.
Yeah. So.
Holy crap. So Transistor's coming out soon.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. I pre-ordered it, even though, it's like... Basically, I just committed to owning the game a week or 10 days before it actually shipped. So It's not like a proper pre-order. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can't wait to dig into that. Oh yeah, that was one of the games I'm probably gonna play heavily soon.
Right.
I kind of can't call it a random act of gaming because
it's a very deliberate act of gaming.
I had full intent on owning this game, but
right.
I think I'm gonna make that my quote unquote random active gaming game.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's funny because Super Time Force was one of the ones I had on my 2014 ones I wanted to own list, and I've been trying to avoid seeing any gameplay of it right now, or any reviews or anything like that, because I want to come into it like with a very fresh experience.
Right.
And I was kind of irritated that it, came out on Xbox first. It'll be coming to PC whenever.
Yeah, timed exclusive.
Yeah, that bothers me in a way.
Yeah, but it's the way of the world these days. I mean, companies are going to look to get, especially with the Xbox, they're looking to get any kind of advantage they can these days.
They really need that exclusive, so.
Yeah. I mean, Sony has been much more proactive about courting indie developers and stuff like that. They're playing catch up at this point. So
yeah, Sony's been just knocking it out of the park with indie devs and just the games they've been releasing so far for the PS4 in general.
There are rumors floating around that Binding of Isaac Rebirth might end up being a PS4 timed exclusive as well. So
timed exclusive, I'm okay with. If it was a PS4 exclusive, can you imagine the outrage in the community as a result of that? Like, fuck it, I gotta go buy a fucking PS4 now? But at least they'd be able to stream it to Twitch directly from the device. That's a thing. But,
there's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I figured we could cover a quick topic.
Sure.
A quick topic. Trying to think. What's your preferred difficulty setting when available in games? No need to flex the old E-peen. I mean,
no, I absolutely was not going to. No, I'm a normal difficulty guy. Yeah. I feel that when the game is being developed, that's the difficulty they want you to see. That's the one it's tuned for. So with very, very rare exception, I go for normal right off the bat. That's not to say that if I go back to it at some point, I might not bump it up, but yeah, I think like my position has always been that if they wanted you to play a different difficulty, they would have made that one normal.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And that makes perfect sense. I have a slightly different MO when it comes to implementing difficulty settings myself. For story-based games, like say for example Tomb Raider, I've dropped that sucker on easy right away. Right. Which was actually a better choice in the end, which I didn't know about until after playing through it and hearing a lot about it. The combat was just punishing and almost borderline irritating if you're playing it on normal or anything above that. So at least with easy mode, it kind of dumbed down a lot of the fights and made it less irritating. They were still pretty fucking annoying, but yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I find for story-based games, I tend to dumb it down. For most other games, I usually just leave it as is. One thing I like about, say, for example, Broforce only has 2 difficulty settings, normal and hard as fuck.
Is it actually called hard as fuck?
It might just be called hard or harder. Which I like because it goes back to your theory, where they start you out with the only available option of how they wanted the game to be played, and if you want to give yourself a more of a challenge, you have that option. Right. But I don't know. Again, for me, it really depends. Some games I'll rock it on easy. Some games I'll just rock it on normal. I never choose hard because why? Why would you do that to yourself? I already play enough games that are challenging, like Spelunking and stuff like that I don't need to play hard on other games.
Right. Hard mode for me is like if you're looking for something more from the game, if you're replaying it and you're looking for something more from the game than you got from your first playthrough, that's what hard difficulties are for me. Yeah. Unless, there are cases where I've seen games, that I wanted to pick up. You watch like pre-release coverage or something like that, and they're like, "You're going to want to play this game on hard because normal mode is just too easy."
Yeah. Let's say, for example, like FTL.
Right.
Normal, actually, from what I hear, is already a little too hard. Playing it on easy is almost better in a way, especially for newbies like me.
Oh yeah, playing that game on normal from the get-go, yeah. That's a recipe for frustration, basically. FTL is it's kind of an outlier in that regard. I'm playing it on normal now just because
You're actually good at it.
Yeah, it's once. But the thing is, if I had started on normal, I probably wouldn't have spent anywhere near as much time with that game as I did. Normal now, it provides an appropriate level of challenge, but like I say, comes back to my point. You go to the higher difficulties when you want to get something more out of the game.
Yeah. But again, that's one of those games where replayability is important, or it's almost kind of like a key mode of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, other games like, say, I don't know, I'll go back to my Tomb Raider example. Mm-hmm. Once I finished it on easy, I didn't need to play it again.
Right.
Because, story-based game.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to play it on hard? I'm not really hunting the achievements or all the special unlocks or anything like that.
I mean, you've gotten as much out of it as you need to, right?
Yeah.
If you feel like there's something more that you want to get out of the game, then bump up the difficulty and keep playing. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at things like Dark Souls 2. They actually have a new game plus structure in that game, where
God.
there's new drops. There's new enemies and placements of enemies, and the story actually changes when you go to New Game Plus, right?
But that also is another game where replayability is kind of the intent of the game. Like, they don't expect you to finish it in one play.
No, absolutely not.
So again, that's where it works.
Right. I remember in the original Demon's Souls, there was one weapon that you could only get if you actually played through the game 3 times. Like, you had to get from beginning to end. You had to get through it 3 times if you wanted to use one particular weapon.
Yeah, and then I guess in that regard, it then makes the game a little bit easier for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. You get those kinds of things, and it's like that. It's for gaming. You want to have a goal, right? You want to have something that you're working towards. And when you get that kind of thing, it usually kills any kind of desire to carry on with it. It's like, well, I got this gigantic world-beating thing now.
Yeah.
Time to put that down and you move on to something else.
How do you feel about games with kind of fluctuating difficulty? Like, I'm not sure if I'll roll over to Assassin's Creed, for example. Mm-hmm. Assassin's Creed, that game has no difficulty setting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it kind of modifies the gameplay in a way. I'm totally could be talking shit right now.
Right.
But I know for what the hell was the name? Max Payne 3. Mm-hmm. Max Payne 3 actually had kind of a sliding scale for difficulty as you played. So if you keep failing a particular section, it would kind of buff you a little bit. Like, it would either dumb down the enemies, give you less of them, start you out with more pills, things like that.
2 points about that. I think the thing that I find really irritating is when a game asks you after you die if you want to set the difficulty down to easy or something like that. Nothing pisses me off more than that.
I've never had a game do that.
There have been games I played where it asks you. I think one of the old Resident Evil games. I think if you died a few times, it would say, "Do you want to set the difficulty down to easy?"
Yeah, you might want to dumb that down a little bit there.
It's much more of a Japanese thing, I think.
Yeah.
There are games that I can think of where if you die a few times, it's like, are you sure you wouldn't rather try something a little easier? That just pisses me off when it does that. It's like, no, fuck you, I'm going up to hard. The other thing is, it depends on the type of game.
Yeah.
Sliding difficulty is fine, but when it gets into things like role-playing games, you want to feel like you're getting more powerful in relation to the world. And I'm thinking back to Oblivion here, where basically the world got harder as you leveled up, and it made it feel like you were basically on a treadmill. Like,
oh, wow.
You were running forward to get nowhere, right? Because every time you got more powerful, everything else in the world got more powerful.
Yeah, that would get irritating.
Yeah.
Because that kind of defeats the point of even getting item upgrades and power-ups and stuff like that. It's like, well, I'm doing all this just so I can,
so you can keep
survive.
Pace. Yeah. You want to feel like there's some kind of end game, like where you're actually going to be strong enough to triumph, over all this stuff. And that kind of killed Oblivion for me, because I just found that, my typical way of playing role-playing games is to be really obsessive and take on all the side quests and stuff like that and get really powerful before I go into the story quest. And this game basically nullified that.
Yeah.
Which is a mistake that they actually corrected in Skyrim. God bless them. But, it depends on the type of game, It really depends on the type of game and how it's presented. So.
But by and large, you roll normal.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like when they're developing the game, I feel like that's what they're tuning for. That's what they want people. That's the experience that they want people to have. So that's usually where, for a first playthrough, that's where I fall.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'll be normal for most things, easy for story games.
Right.
Story-heavy games.
Mm-hmm. And if you provide me with some incentive to increase the difficulty, whether that takes the form of a different experience in the game or maybe an achievement or something like that, I'm more likely to up the difficulty at that point.
Huh. All right, cool.
Yeah. I think that just about says it all.
Yeah, I figure we can wrap it up for this week.
Yeah, a little bit shorter episode this week, but we've only got two of us to blather on at length here, so we can't quite share the load as equally.
Plus, we still have other gameplay videos to record and stuff like that, so.
Plenty to do.
All about content.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully Dan will be back next week.
Fingers crossed. And hopefully by next week we might get some emails or questions from our listeners, our Backspace at gmail.com or at our Backspace on Twitter. Yeah.
We can live on in hope.
Nothing yet.
Mm-hmm. Please send us something. We know you're out there. We see the download stats.
Right?
We're nice. I promise you, we're nice.
Yeah, we won't be dicks. Employing Wheaton's Law, don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, have a good internet.
Okay.
Life.
I will. You have the same.
Yes.
This cake looks good.
I didn't know that Super Time Force was only Xbox, or Xbox only.
It's timed exclusive.
Oh. Well.
It'll be out on PC eventually, but yeah, I was actually watching the video of the game. That looks really fun.
Yeah. Flappy Bird is coming out with a non-addictive version with co-op or something? I don't know.
Non-addictive?
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Exactly.
More games have been released on Steam so far in 2014 than all of last year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's been a shitload of shovelware this year.
Oh, yeah, Transistor's coming out soon.
Yeah. Next week.
Ooh, I don't want to drink out of that can, but that is a very old Pepsi. Wish I was drinking a beer right now, but
And with that, I think I'll drink some of my beer.
fucking you.
Shut up. This cake looks good.